You're listening to The Sports Fix.
Portions of the Sports Fix brought to you by Fantasy Jocks. Looking to upgrade your league trophy? Check out fantasyjocks.com for championship belts, rings, trophies, and more.
Sports Fix listeners, don't wait all day or all week to get in on the fun. The party doesn't stop when we go off the air all week long. The Sports Fix social media sites are your one-stop shop for all things Cleveland sports. Jump over to Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix, and become a fan today because we love fans and they create some of the best sports talk in town, Daddy. You'll enjoy talking to your fellow Cleveland sports fans on the Sports Fix fan page. And if Twitter's your thing, well, you know how we do it. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. It's that simple.
Twitter.com/TheSportsFixCLE, baby.
Chat live with the crew during all your favorite Cleveland sports events, tickets and contests and trivia and so much more. Get with us today, The Sports Fix on social media, Facebook.com/TheSportsFix. Tweet with us at The Sports Fix CLE. Join The Sports Fix on Facebook and Twitter today.
I'm Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to The Sports Fix.
Live in Ohio, it's time to get your fix. The Sports Fix.
Yes, indeed, we are off and rolling today. Tuesday edition of the Sports Fix, rolling through the month of December, getting started. J-Rock, Jerry Myers, kicking things off. Welcome in, you guys, to the Sports Fix. And Tuesdays are always an all over the place edition of the show. Today, no differently as I look down all the things we're going to get into here. We'll talk, of course, some more as the week that is, the latest week in the Cleveland Browns. We'll talk about that here in a minute. I've got some things to say about that, looking back and listening back to yesterday's show and some of that stuff about the quarterbacks as we sit here. It'll get a lot more interesting come tomorrow, but today's that last day in the netherworld anyways. Before then, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about a lot of things today. Jeff Gorman from Indians101.com. He's in the house as he is every Tuesday. A lot of baseball stuff to get into here with Jeff today. I know some people going, really? Baseball? But yes, indeed. We talk baseball here. Actually, this week, a heavy dose of some baseball talk this week. Going to have some fun. We're going to prime the pump a bit. Jeff Gorman, we're going to talk today. Tomorrow, Mike Brandenberry is going to join us from DidTheTribeWinLastNight.com. And I was just talking to Mike before the show. I said, hey, let's get things really, let's whet the appetite for Hammy on Thursday. So we're going to have us a nice old, Tribe 90s discussion. Can't ever, have too many of those here in Cleveland, but we're going to talk a little bit about that and some of the things that we're going to talk about on Thursday with Tom Hamilton, the voice of the Cleveland Indians, when he joins us here on the show Thursday. First time having Hammy here, and again, very excited about that one. Very happy. We're going to talk about his time with the Indians and, of course, glory days in Tribe Town that he and Terry Pluto got together and put together the latest book, this one on the Indians from 94 through just about 97. It's going to be a lot of fun talking to Hammy about that. And don't forget as well, we're going to have a copy of that book for somebody listening Thursday here as well. But so a lot of baseball talk this week. Jeff Gorman will be here with us. We'll talk about some of the latest, talk about Cruz going to the M's there. We'll talk about the Donaldson trade. And, I had somebody hit me up and say, oh, man, Indians could have been in on this. And, you love the trade fantasy scenarios. We could have did. Well, we'll talk about that with Jeff, and we'll talk some more about the Indians. What are we, a week away from the winter meeting? So talking about some Indian stuff with Jeff Gorman and looking around baseball. Dr. Football, Bill Checket's in the house, and I've already done the phone line check with Dr. Football. So we should be, if we're not, then there's just something wrong. And I'm going to make sure that Jeff and I speak very kindly about Brohio during the previous segment, but should be all good with Dr. Football here this week. We'll talk about the latest Ray Rice. Haven't really dove into it a lot. John McMullen and I touched on it a bit yesterday. The latest with him is he's been reinstated and looks to perhaps find himself a team. Will anybody touch that? I wouldn't, and I don't think he should. Like John said yesterday, you don't really need to collude, but if there's one time where there's a nudge, wink agreement, that would be it. I can't see, and I don't care how desperate, I don't care what the club is, I can't see anything happening this year, nor should it, in all seriousness. But we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the latest, of course, with the Browns and Manziel and Hoyer and all of that. Get Dr. Football's opinion on that stuff. And as well, we'll look around. It's that time. We'll start checking out these playoff races. They're tight everywhere around football. And you know what? We'll get more into it later. But can you believe that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when you hear this counter of what I'm about to say, you just go, how is that even possible? Because of that ridiculous NFC South division. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 2-10 there, and they are as close to winning their division as they are to being the number one pick in the draft. If you can even make sense out of that right there, that's amazing. That's ridiculous is what it is. But anyways, we'll talk about that here with Dr. Football a little bit later on in the show. He's here every Tuesday. Doug Plagens, the voice of the Lake Erie Monsters, is here. We'll talk about the big 3-3 weekend, a holiday feast of hockey here for the Monsters this past weekend. All of that. Cavaliers play tonight, the final game of the homestand for the Cavs as we head into December here with some Cavs basketball. Speaking of hoops, there's a big one for the Buckeyes tonight as well. Louisville and Ohio State should be a good one. We'll preview that. We'll open up some phone lines. We'll get into all of that here on today's show. So welcome in, you guys, to the Sports Fix. I am your host, the Big Daddy on the microphone, J-Rock Jerry Myers here. Some of you know that. Some of you here for the first time. Every weekday at noon, we're live, baby, across the Sports Fix radio network. Sometimes that's TuneIn and TuneIn's radio app. Hello to those of you listening on Spreaker, their digital applications, on Mixler as well. Yesterday, Spreaker, there's a, I don't know what it is, but sometimes it takes a while when you comment live on Spreaker for me to see it. It's ridiculous. And it's just a function of the way their live chatting works there on their site. And so I got a comment right as we were wrapping up. It was too late. Guy Shea was listening to us, and he was too upset to even call in, but was loving the conversation yesterday. And so shout out to you guys listening on Spreaker, and hit us up. And if you ever do get where you leave comments, because it's not the first time, you guys probably know this, and it's usually after the show that I'll respond to your comments on Spreaker, just because they usually don't pop up in a way where they can be easily noticed during the live broadcast. So my apologies about that. There's a ton of other ways, as you guys know. If you need to get a hold of me, you can get a hold of me. You know how to do that. Whether you're listening on Mixler as well, or those of you on the sportsfix.net, your one-stop shop right there. If you need to get a hold of me, go to the sportsfix.net. Everything you need is right there. And as well, welcome in all of you listening on digital delay 24/7 around the world on iHeartRadio, the world's largest internet radio provider, on iTunes. Those of you that download us there on Stitcher Radio and SoundCloud, all the places that you guys subscribe to the show. Thank you so much for being a part of it, as always, and be a part of it. On the phones, 216-539-7535, 216-539-7535. Vic got a hold of me last night, said, did my rant make the air? I said, absolutely, baby. You left it on the hotline. We played it. I get you, man. And I got it out on the air. So even if we don't take your call live, leave your message on the hotline. We'll play it on the show. 216-539-7535. Hit us up as well on social media. A lot of you can't get to the phones. Facebook.com/the Sports Fix. Tweet with us at the Sports Fix CLE. Email us thesportsfix@AOL.com. And yes, I laughed because Charles in the chat room said, "Don't DM me on Twitter." I told him the other day that may possibly be the worst way to try to get a hold of me, because I never ever check those. I have the push notifications off. I don't get any of that stuff, and I don't get how people do that. Like, I'm all about being on top of your social media and stuff like that, and I get that part of things, but man, that constant notification every time anything happens, how do people live like? There's no way I'm going to be a slave to the phone and to the Facebook. I'm already a slave to the phone as it is with having to conversate with people all day long. It's part of being in the world and working and all of that. But let alone every time Facebook and Twitter wants me, they're going to beck and call. No way, man. That was the first thing I learned how to do when I got my phone. I said, man, no, why does this thing keep telling me all of these things that I don't care about? When I want to check Twitter, I'll go check it. But anyways, yeah, direct messaging me on Twitter is quite possibly the absolute worst way to try to get a hold of me, because it may be 4 or 5 days before I get it. And that's happened before. I've gotten messages from people practically, half a week later, and I'm like, man, sorry, I don't ever see this. I don't ever go look at it. I just happen to notice the little message envelope with a 1 next to it. I said, oh, I got a message. I don't do that. So anyways, there we go, guys. Hit us up. Facebook, Twitter, email. Again, facebook.com/thesportsfix. Tweet with us at thesportsfixcle. Email us, thesportsfix@aol.com. Always, please keep the conversation rolling 24/7 throughout the day and night, as we love to do here. And yeah, I wanted to start the show. We've got Jeff Gorman coming up here in just a few minutes, and we're going to get this bad boy rolling. But I want to spend the opening segment, as I said, looking back too. I went back and listened to some of the stuff, and I got I'm telling you, they're obviously, we joke about quarterbacks being a hot button issue here in Cleveland, but this week, obviously, more than usual, we are just getting blasted. I've gotten hundreds of comments again in just the last 24 hours on our various social media. I mean, we've got like almost 21,000 on Facebook. So you get a lot of that stuff. See a lot of different people's opinions and stuff like that. And it is very varied. And everybody's got a different rationale. Everybody's got a different reasoning. Everybody's got a total, just different. Even the ones that agree have different reasons why they agree on stuff. And it's pretty funny to see. But I will tell you, I'm going to start with something sad. And this is something I've brought up before. And take your personal feelings out of this, whichever quarterback you like, whichever way you want to go. This drives me nuts. And this is what I mean when I say you always got to watch, and the media, they're tricky, man. As you guys know, we talk about this all the time, but just in general, you always got to watch people's intent, people's motivations, reasonings, why they do stuff and say stuff, because of all this interaction we've gotten, I would say, and this would be a fair percentage, because I really wanted to figure this out this morning. I said, okay, I did the math, and it's about 15% of the feedback that I've gotten in the last 24 to 36 hours or so about the Browns quarterback situation. About a solid 15% have been not anything about which quarterback and this and that. They're the percentage that told me that they were rooting for the Browns to lose and Brian Hoyer to fail all season long so that Johnny Football could get his spot. And I said, man, now see, that's a different level, and that's not fandom. I don't care what you say. That's a different level of whatever you want to call it right there. But here's what's messed up, and I'm not gonna throw this guy under the bus, but I'm just gonna say that a friend of mine that is definitely a notable Cleveland person, sports, in this industry. I'm not even gonna give you any clues. I can't, because you'll figure it out eventually. But this person said the same thing to me, and so I'm just telling you that there's cats in the media who, and I'm not saying it's everybody, and I'm not saying it's all of them, but take my word for it, because I know one of them. There's cats in the media who said the exact same thing, and I'm like, man, that's a dangerous road to hold right there. But anyways, man, I was just shocked at how many. Like I said, so 15% is a good, fair number, probably cutting it a little bit low. And that's amazing. Oh, no, Chuck Booms, do I need to say? I mean, he's open about it, man. He's blatant. No, I'm not talking about that goof. Thank God I don't know anybody that knows him in real life, man. Just acquaintance stuff, man. But anyways, that's a trip. And that drives me absolutely crazy right there. But whatever, man, you do what you got to do. And but again, that's why certain people are going to say what they say, and I'm going to listen. And like I said, when I get you guys feedback, it's funny because I listen to some people, and some people make such great, awesome points, balanced, and just some great stuff, man. I love the discourse that we have, man. And then there's people that, whatever, man, if you feel I'm talking about you, then so be it. But then there's people that there's people that have their agenda, make it very clear, and then they try to explain to you like in ways that it's just never mind. I love the discourse no matter which way it is. But yeah, some people get a lot more credibility with me than others, but I love it hearing the various opinions. And basically the way it splits down is there's I guess 3